We now know that Prime Minister Mark Carney's first budget projects a deficit of $78 billion for this fiscal year. The budget focused on a few key priorities, including competitiveness, defense spending, and cooperative housing. There were also some key announcements for our province, but what does it mean to the average Manitoban? Joining us now to break down what the budget actually means to us is financial journalist Bryan Borzykowski. Good morning, Bryan.
Good morning.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Well, you had a chance to kind of look over some of it was a huge document.
Yeah, 405 pages.
Yeah,
I didn't read all 405 pages, but it was big.
It's a lot to cover.
Yeah.
What was your first impression?
I think my first impression was that Mark Carney and his team really kind of hyped this up as transformational, generational budget. It didn't feel very transformational, at least not in the way that they were sort of saying it would be. So the hype, I don't think, lived up to what actually was delivered. The biggest things that they did was they are putting, billions of dollars into infrastructure, into defense, into other investments that are going to help, hopefully, spur the economy. There was not many things to address affordability on the individual level, which I thought maybe there would be more. People are struggling. People are worried about, tariffs and the economy and where that's going to go on a very individual level. That really wasn't addressed. It was much more big picture and longer term. So those were my first impressions.
It'll take years before we even realize what this budget means, right?
Right, and that was sort of the thing. It's like we're talking about Trump, we're talking about tariffs, we're talking about our economy, which is slowing right now. But a lot of these infrastructure investments, which there's programs to fast track certain programs and fast track investment, which is great, but those things will take time. They could take several years. There was one thing which was interesting was there was this tax credit called a super deduction for businesses. Could be businesses of all sizes, but it is going to allow you to write off investments in manufacturing machinery and equipment and buildings much faster than you would have been able to before. Now that's great, but only if you actually make those investments. And so there was a hope that maybe they would just cut the corporate tax rate kind of across the board. They didn't do that, and so that could take time if people actually do that investment. So those sorts of things, where will it go? We don't know. There's no sort of clear path to me that this is going to have an impact today. It could have an impact over time. Okay,
let's talk about the little things that affect families. So what did you see in the budget that is something that it will affect a family or someone personally?
Yeah, so I hate to say it, but there wasn't much. Okay. And again, that was a bit maybe surprising. There wasn't a lot to take away. What they did reiterate, and they already announced a lot of the measures before this, but they said again that the tax rate on the lowest income bracket will go from 15% down to 14.5% this year to 14% next year. So that will help a little bit. That's a little bit lower taxes that people will have to pay. Yeah. Then there's sort of small things if you're transferring your RSP to a different provider, you don't have to pay the $150 fee. They're going to look into ATM fees, which that could have a big impact, but they said they're just going to look into it. They didn't say they're eliminating it or doing anything like that, so we'll see where that goes. But I got to say, other than that, there was no sort of real, nothing really that we can grab onto here. No good nuggets that you sometimes see in other budgets.
But lots of spending, big dollar figures. Right. What will it mean to our economy? We know that unemployment numbers are slowly rising. Yeah. GDP numbers are expected next month. Yeah. And are there indicators that this budget will help us stay above water?
So that's the thing, possibly, right? If they invest in infrastructure, if they invest in housing, which they have a $25 billion in home building that they're putting towards that, those things will spur jobs, construction jobs, all sorts of other kind of jobs. Historically, when you have a sluggish economy, you invest in infrastructure. That's a really kind of easy way to get things going again. And so that could help people get jobs in Manitoba and elsewhere. I mean, one thing I guess we should also mention is that to offset the $141 billion in spending, they're cutting about 40,000 public sector jobs. Yeah. Now, public sector was a big driver of jobs over the last few years, so they may just be sort of cutting back what they've kind of put in over the last few years, but that could affect a lot of people here. We don't know where those cuts will be. So it'll be a bit of both. Hopefully over time, more jobs will come with a stronger economy.
Bryan, thanks for your time today.
Thank you.